Craig and Tim clips.
So I sent you a video. It's called JFK: What the Doctor Saw. It was a documentary that came out
on Paramount
on
Plus.
Paramount Plus, and it's about the doctors in the emergency room after JFK got shot. So a little bit of a backstory. The reason why I sent it to you was I really think JFK stuff is super interesting.
Right.
I went to Dealey Plaza this year when I was in Dallas. I went to the museum up where Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK from, and it's all set up with a whole bunch of museum stuff and like stuff where you can actually see Lee Harvey Oswald's wedding ring. You can see like the trajectory of the shots. You can it's got like a model of all of that. It's got some videos. It's got a whole bunch of stuff about JFK. It's basically a JFK museum at the start, and then it goes to the conspiracy of the murder, and you can actually stand at the angle in the window one floor above where Lee Harvey Oswald shot him, because the window where he shot him from is blocked off. You can't go there, but you can go one floor above and stand and see the angle. And on the ground are X's where the car was when the shots went off. And the distance that those shots had to have gone with the accuracy that they would have had to have been with in this rifle where he had to reload it after the first shot. Unbelievable that they think there was one shooter, in my mind.
Yeah, and there was an individual in the documentary that suggested or recollected people that suggested have you heard the single bullet theory that was floated up? Because after the Warren Commission suggested there was only one shooter.
Yeah.
The issue was there was two people that were hit. It wasn't just JFK. There was someone that was in his vehicle with him that was also shot.
Yeah.
And the idea is that if they're both shot, there must be two shooters because there's two shots. But one of the theories
there was two shots.
Yeah. But one of the theories that was floated out to say, no, there was only a single shot, but the shot ricocheted, and the same bullet that killed JFK also struck this other, I think it was a governor or something.
Yeah.
That he hit, which was like, I think there has been some since then people making fun of it that just this magic bullet that hit.
Well,
bing, 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 like
when Keith Hernandez spit and hit
the Seinfeld episode,
hit Kramer in the face, and then it ricocheted and it hit George after that.
So that was one in the media. The
Keith Hernandez,
ex-New York
Yankee.
So in the documentary, it was basically it was really focusing on the doctors that were in the ER.
Yeah.
When they brought in JFK.
Yeah.
To work on whatever. He was dead at the time. I think they just took some time to pronounce him dead, but they tried to work on his body. So they physically saw his body at the time.
Yeah.
And the doctors who since then said that no, they thought because of certain angles that he was shot in the neck.
And then it came out the back.
There's no way that this could be a single shot. There was two shooters or two shots.
Yeah.
And that's the basic gist of those doctors. And again, they've since said that, but this was focusing on just their commentary about it. So I think the commission that they did afterwards to see if there was a cover-up, which in itself they said is kind of a cover-up because they just wanted to make sure that people thought and it was actually looked into.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just
it's all conspiracy
to look into it. But that was the main point of that. And it's funny, 60 some odd years later, we're still talking about this. I would think that as we get, the kids start to get younger, does a 20-year-old really care about who shot JFK, or is it just middle-aged people? And this wasn't our lifetime either.
And it's funny, it wasn't in our lifetime. And when I was at the museum in Dallas, it was ages like 80 down to like my kids' age.
Yeah.
And my kids were like super into learning about what JFK was doing for the United States.
Yeah.
He started the space program.
Yeah.
Right? He was a lot of things to the American people which made him like one of the most popular presidents of all time. And then he was gone.
Yeah.
And my kids actually put 2 and 2 together because they actually saw, we went to the museum in Dallas. And then later in the trip, we actually went to Houston and we went to the Space Center Houston. And that's when they saw a video again of JFK talking about space. And Lyndon Johnson, was he the one that took over for JFK?
Yep.
So the Space Center in Houston used to be the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center, I believe. Now it's called Space Center Houston. Or maybe it's called both. Maybe one area is called one area is called the other. But I think that it's going to live on forever in American history, like in terms of like who did it, because they don't have an answer.
Right. And of course, the 2 most popular presidents who were shot while they were still president would be Lincoln and JFK.
Yeah.
Right. I guess Lincoln is older, so I think over time people forget. And JFK is this century, or this last century. Sorry.
And Lincoln was, what was the guy's name that shot Lincoln?
John Wilkes Booth.
John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
So the guy that shot JFK was
Lee Harvey Oswald.
So weird.
They have
3 names.
Well, that's just coincidence.
And the guy that sits across from me is
Timothy Paul Sanders.
That's right. So it's weird, right? Like that all these murderers have 3 names.
I think back in the day, people would go by their middle name more than they do now.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
So
we don't know anyone that goes around talking about them with their middle name.
Yeah.
But I think back in the day they did.
So the other crazy thing about the Lee Harvey Oswald thing is that he actually was killed on his way from court, I believe. He was shot and killed.
Yeah.
And
so and he said he was a patsy. He wants to talk to people to set the record straight, and then all of a sudden he shot down. So the theory in that was he was set up to do this by other organizations of which we don't know anymore, and we probably never will. So
was there mob ties?
So even though, like as you say, JFK was extremely popular to some groups of people, but he was also very unpopular with other groups of people.
Yeah.
The CIA were very, very upset with him. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why.
Yeah.
The Mafia in America, Cosa Nostra as they called, they're not called Mafia here, were very upset over things in Cuba. Fidel Castro, members of Castro's organization, communists, that kind of thing. So there were a bunch of people that would like to see him disappear.
Yeah.
And so it would, like as you say, when Lee Harvey Oswald was killed, it's just a classic case of sending an enforcer to do something and getting rid of the evidence.
Tying up loose ends.
Tying loose ends. And so, and I do believe the Warren report did say there was probably some conspiracies that were happening.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't even say that they were, that does not mean to say that they came to fruition.
No.
But there were plans in place, or there are people that certainly wanted to, or made plans to try at least to kill him.
Yeah.
So we'll never know, but it's something that fascinates people to know that. So
if you're ever in Dallas, I know that you were thinking about planning a trip to Texas. If you're ever in Dallas,
we'll go to Dallas sometime. My wife's been there, but I haven't.
You've got to go to that museum.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And then after the museum, after you go through everything on the floor, and do all the interactive stuff up there and see everything that happened, go down to the grassy knoll, and that's where all the conspiracy guys are.
Right.
So they got like pamphlets and they've got books. They're selling stuff down there, and it just shows like the knoll, what it looked like back then, and what it looks like.
The problem with conspiracy theories is they're going to be a conspiracy. 99.99% of them will always remain a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
You will never find out. Nothing will come out next week about definitively that will say who really shot JFK if there was a conspiracy. So it's always going to remain a mystery.
Yeah.
So if you want to hang on to that, that's fine too, I guess. One of the other ones that I really, really love is did the people that escaped from Alcatraz make it?
Yeah.
Because their bodies were never found. and there is some evidence that we just don't know.
There's some evidence that they made it.
And 8 years ago, I think there was a letter by one of the people who's dying of cancer or something like that that penned, "I am this individual who we did escape," and there's been pictures that have been sent, and they have none of them have been disproven.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing. No forensic analyst has come to say this picture is incorrect. It can't be them. This handwriting isn't theirs. No one has ever, and they've looked into it. No one's ever disproved it. Now, have they proved it? Not beyond a shadow of a doubt. No.
The fact that there's still conspiracy theories this day and age, blows my mind.
Right.
But I can imagine why there is some from then. Right. There's not the. So, like, if somebody was in an Alcatraz now, there'd be DNA samples. There would be, like, all this stuff where you can match up this guy now and say, yeah, he's definitively that guy.
That's, I think back in the JFK days, I think you can get away with a whole lot more because there wasn't a social media scrutiny where everybody knows everything
about
and
everything.
If they don't know it, they'll find it out. Someone is going to unearth it. And some of these things, like if it's a cover up and all these people know, there's too many media people that would like to.
You can say though that with social media, there's more conspiracy theories.
Yeah, but there's more people talking.
Yeah.
So there might be just as many conspiracy theories. You just hear about them all.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. We over exaggerate things on social media because, back in the day, if you had an opinion and you wanted to talk about your opinion, you could go to the bar
or a coffee shop
and talk to 3 people.
Yeah.
And now you can talk to 1 trillion people at once or whatever it is.
Joe,
right?
Jim, and Paul.
At the exact same time, and half of them are morons.
Just like Joe, Jim, and Paul.
Joe, Jim, and Paul.
Which 3 were the morons?
Yeah, exactly. Which is part of what drives me nuts about social media. So I do like the Facebook memories, though. You see the cheesecake one from this morning?
I saw the cheesecake one. And happy 4-year anniversary.
Right. You said, I missed that. 4 years.
4 years.
And I believe you said that you go on 5-year contract. So I'm in my option. I'm in my option year.
No, we can do an extension.
During my option year, though, that's when we would negotiate.
That's correct.
And this is why we're doing the podcast. You're seeing how much you still like me.
That's correct.
After we meet every week to record podcasts and argue and such and such.
This will be a great unedited podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Sharing is caring.